welcome to Our Time.
Janice.
Hello, Malcolm.
Lovely to have you with us too. We've got something rather special today because on our program because, you know, when we get to our age, you often think maybe the law isn't doing all that it could to look after criminals, and maybe we need bigger prisons or we need something
More
to happen.
facilities.
Well, we've discovered that that's actually not the answer. And today our friend Peter Sellon is with us, and here is a group of people who really have, I think, what the answer to the future of our prison system probably is.
Okay.
Here's Peter.
Here's Peter.
Well, thanks very much, Malcolm and Janice. Our next topic on Our Time is all about justice reinvestment. Now, it's a very serious topic. We've got some authoritative figures to talk just about what it means and how it's going. My first guest, Klynton Wanganeen, is the previous Commissioner for Aboriginal Engagement with the South Australian Government. Welcome to you, Klynton.
Happy to be here, Peter.
And next to you is Robyn Layton, who's an advocate for Indigenous, refugee and children's rights. Robyn, welcome to you.
Thank you, Peter.
Ralph Bonig is an immediate past president of the Law Society of South Australia. Welcome to you, Ralph.
Welcome, Peter.
And also Cheryl Axleby, who's the CEO of the Aboriginal Legal Rights Movement.
Good evening.
Welcome. Now, Robyn, firstly to you perhaps, what is justice reinvestment?
Well, I'll have to give a little bit of a potted history, and that is America is where it basically started. And America has, as many people know, a huge imprisonment rate. They have, whilst the imprisonment rate is somewhat higher than one would expect, because there are about 5% total of people in America that are in prison, and that equates to about a quarter of the whole of the population of the world that are in prison. They've got more than anyone else. So they had to find a strategy. So it's because of the burgeoning costs of imprisonment and also the social and economic costs and the costs of actually setting up a prison. So what justice reinvestment does is redirect money out of that system of imprisonment to instead put it into services, so that instead of people being incarcerated, they can be kept in community, so long as it's not the very serious crime, and instead there can be services. What it does is that it's based on data where there is a mapping of the worst crimes and the worst imprisonment rates in a community, to then work out what are the services that could best suit that community to keep people out of jail, and then to evaluate and monitor to make sure that it all works. And it has worked overseas.
So South Australia is one of the states leading in this issue, or are the others doing similar work?
New South Wales is actually ahead of South Australia, but South Australia's, I think, starting to come up, and Ralph Bonig, who's been working on that, can talk about that. But we are certainly trying to forge forward to do something in South Australia.
Thanks, Robyn. Now, Klynton, your experience and your involvement in all this, what's your take on how this could work, and is it working?
Well, it's not working anywhere in Australia at the moment, but it's exciting because it brings a new approach. And from my perspective, it's about engaging with the Aboriginal community. It's not about pouring in a whole heap of new dollars. It's about cooperation, collaboration, and making sure the community is involved in the process every step of the way. Building more prisons is not an answer.
All right, now Ralph, perhaps a bit of your background. You're the immediate past president of the Law Society. Obviously, a lot of people who come through the courts perhaps shouldn't be there at all.
They've probably done things that are wrong, but it's a question of whether or not we lock them up or we deal with them differently, or alternatively whether we could have actually prevented the crime occurring in the first place. And that's what justice reinvestment looks at. It looks at why were some of these people offending, and can we change the social patterns that led to the offending so that they don't offend, they're not arrested, and then they don't have to come before the courts, and worst case, we don't have to lock them up.
We talked earlier about the cost of all this, not only the social issues and what it means in the community, but there's a dollar value as well.
Well, roughly around Australia at the moment, it costs about $100,000 per prisoner per year to keep someone locked up. And I think there's about 80 odd prisons around Australia, and that adds up to $1 billion industry. And we can't afford to keep building jails or prisons. We can't afford to do it in South Australia. And we need to look at other ways of dealing with the offenders, and that is preventing the crime.
Cheryl, obviously there's quite a few Aboriginal offenders come through the system.